Okay, we're going to walk you through how to build a chatbot that reads a Google Sheet and uses the Google Sheet as a database to train ChatGPT uh, to respond. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click Create Chatbot, and you're going to want to provide a goal. So I'm going to actually, you can see we provide some examples here. Um, So let's say generate leads for my real estate agency and sell homes. Okay. And then I'll just click continue. And now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to train the AI to be able to respond to users. So we have a bunch of different uh, mechanisms that you can use. You can import a web page. And we do this one at a time. So you just import a URL. We'll scrape the URL. There's no problems. Then you can scrape another one. We tend to find that when you put a whole sitemap or an entire directory, then you might be adding data that you don't want to train AI with, or you may be adding pages that are going to cause problems for AI or are they're problematic, and then the whole process fails. So we do it one at a time, and it's ideal for if you have a home page or an about page, or you have your FAQs and you want to just create a knowledge base where it's going to answer the questions in the same way for everyone, a general knowledge base. And you can also do that with PDFs. So you just click this, and you can just drag a PDF in here, and we do what's called a semantic search. So we'll analyze the content of a PDF document, and you'll be able to generate responses. Now, this is all unstructured data, PDFs and web pages, and that's why you often get inaccurate responses. It makes up the responses using the knowledge it has, but if it doesn't have, the requisite knowledge to be able to generate a response, then it tends to make things up. That said, this is a baseline feature of any chatbot solution, so we include it, and you probably already have that business data ready, so you can just import or upload. There's also this feature to input data. So this is a very simple structured data format that AI likes. You just add a data point. We have an example here, hours of operation, and a value. So for hours of operation, you might put 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And it'll generate a response using, this is also structured data, but it's a very simple structured data format. And so you can keep adding, user, these user values or data values for different data points that describe your business. And the main attraction here is definitely connecting a Google Sheet. And so you can use a Google Sheet as a database. Now, you're already working in Google Sheets, so don't change that. You probably have lists of products, or if you're a real estate agent, you have your listings in a spreadsheet, or if you're a recruiter, you have job listings in a spreadsheet. And if you don't have that data in a spreadsheet, you can easily use something like Zapier or Make.com, and you can create automations that will move your data from any system into a Google Sheet. All of those tools, their most popular integration is Google Sheets. So you can move data and populate a spreadsheet, and then all you need to do is paste the URL into here and describe it, and then that data becomes accessible through your chatbot. Bot sheets will analyze the data, and it's structured data, and which is what AI prefers, and it'll generate a data-driven, more accurate response. We also have these example data sets you can use. So if I jump over here, I'm in our support portal here, and we have these sample data sets you can use. You could put Q&A into a spreadsheet, but where you're really going to get value is where you have data with a whole bunch of different attributes, a row with several columns. Real estate is a great example. And so, let me just preview this worksheet here, and let's see what this data looks like. So you'll see here, this is just a sample data of property listings, and you can just expand that. And we've got an address, and you've got a city and a state, and the zip code, and you've got a price, and you've got other attributes like the number of beds. 20 bedrooms is a lot. And of course, you're already managing this data, and you just need to edit the data here. And bot sheets will keep AI in sync with your data while you maintain or keep control over the data that you share with your chatbot or with AI. So you make changes to this data once an hour. We sync up with this data, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go into a dashboard and upload a new document. You just need to connect this Google Sheet once, and you can just make changes to your data, and we make it really easy. So here, just we can look at other data points that we have, like the location, square feet, lot size, days on the market. Is it available? Like, is it available? Is it active? Here you have open house dates. So let me just expand that. We can see when the next open house is, and so what's this? Okay, so let's see here. Next open house start time and end time. So all of this is data that your chatbot can query or search and use this data to generate a response. And we even have a link. So it'll include a link if you have photos that you want to share, or you want the customer to book a viewing of the property. Just include a link to a calendar application, and add that as a column. Booking time, and include a link to Calendly or whatever your calendar booking system is, and your chatbot will include that. So there's lots of data points that you can add, and all you need to do is get the data into a spreadsheet, and then you don't need to change any of the share settings. If it's the share settings on our sample ones are set to public, so anyone with the link has access to it as a viewer. All you do is you just copy the URL, and then we can go here and just paste in the URL like this. Now you're going to want to describe your data, because you may have multiple data sources. You may have the PDFs, you may have the web page for a general knowledge base, but AI will determine if it will search the Google Sheet as a data source depending on the description that you provided. So make sure it's descriptive. I'm going to say a database of property listings for sale. And that way, if somebody says, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom apartment and anything else that they might be looking for, AI will probably use the Google Sheet as the data source to generate the response. So let's connect that Google Sheet. And now you can see here that it's added it as a data source. You've provided the description, and it says processed. And we don't have to deal with things like character count, or that's all applicable to web pages and PDFs. So we've connected it once, and that's all we need to do at this point. We can then start managing our data, make changes to it in the Google Sheet, and Bot Sheets keeps everything in sync. So next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to collect some data from our users that engage with the chatbot. Now, the benefit of this is there's 2 benefits to it. The first one is that, as we pick the data that we want, maybe we want their name so we can personalize it. Maybe we want their email so we can follow up. Maybe we want to know what their budget is. So We just select all the data points that we want the chatbot to collect, and it will generate questions to then collect that data. It knows what questions to ask, when to ask them, and how to ask them. And that's good because a conversation takes a number of different turns. You might want the questions in a certain order, but if the user is asking questions about when it was last renovated, or when or maybe is it near a school or something like that, it may generate a question like, where are you located? So you know. It can capture these preferences. It's going to write all of the preferences that it collects to a spreadsheet, so you can follow up with the customer, or you can analyze that data. You get some actionable business intelligence written to a spreadsheet for you. But it can use these preferences that it collects to search the sheet. So if it's going to ask them, how many bedrooms that they're looking for, and it knows when to ask that question, and it'll take the value that it captures, and it'll use that to then search the Google sheet. So it's capturing customer preferences, and it's going to use these to generate accurate and personalized responses. Now, these are all suggested data points that we provide, and if you want to add your own, because we only suggest a handful, you just click Add Custom Data Point, and you add it. And it's a good idea to use an underscore if you're using multiple words, and provide a description of what the data point is, so you can tell AI what the purpose of the data point is. So that's all helpful. And then you can indicate fields as required or not. If it's indicated as required, the chatbot is going to be very persistent about collecting it. So it might not continue until it gets the data that in a valid format. If you ask it for an email address and you set that as required, and the user doesn't want to provide the email address, it's going to ask for it again. The behavior is exactly like a form where you have fields that are required, and it won't let them submit the form until it collects all the information that you need. But it does it in a conversation, so it's much more engaging. And I'll leave everything as non-required. Okay, so these are all the data points that my chatbot is going to now collect as a user engages with it. Now, there's rules of engagement, and you're going to want to customize those. I'm an AI real estate assistant, ready to help you. And then a good way to start a conversation is to ask a leading question. So sometimes you'll see chatbots that will have suggest questions that the user might ask. Here, you're going to add a leading question that's just going to help get the conversation going. And so you can start collecting data immediately when they engage. So I'll add a leading question to this chatbot. And these are a bunch of suggested leading questions based on the data that we've indicated we want to collect. So we want their name, we want their email address, we ask for their location. And so these are example questions. And if I don't like any of those questions, I can just add my own custom question. So maybe I don't like the way any of these are phrased. Maybe I just want to know, what city are you located in? And so it's going to attempt to collect that location value with my leading question. Now, I want to set the tone. And we default to witty because we find witty is a nice balance between sort of, professional and yet engaging. It has some personality. But if you want it to be a little bit even more quirky, you can use, sassy or energetic. Or if you want it to be just very professional or concise, you can choose one of those. It's a little more robotic, but it gets the job done. Of course, we also provide a prompt editor. So these are some quick rules. We're going to capture it when you're creating. But when you edit the bot settings, use our prompt editor, and you can set all types of custom rules and change the tone and really influence the behavior of the bot. But you can see here in this process, it's just a few simple steps. and your time to value is really fast. So let's just click continue. Let's say I want to generate a name, and this is a customer facing name. So this is going to appear in the chat widget at the top. So we'll call this, Josh Realty. That's going to be the made up name for my real estate agent. And if I need to make changes, or I want to go back or whatever, I can just click previous, and it's very fast because we keep everything stored in the browser. So you see, it's very quick. So let's click continue, and let's just test out the chatbot. Okay, so it's asking me that leading question: where am I located? And now, in my spreadsheet here, I provided no other data source other than this spreadsheet. So if I had multiple locations, or multiple cities, I might have those listed in here. But if I say here, I'm looking for a townhouse near Durham. Okay. Can you recommend something? And let's just send that. And now what it's doing is, because the Google Sheet is the only data source, it's analyzing that spreadsheet, and it's going to determine if it can find a match. So you can see here, it's streaming the response as it gets the data. But you can see here, look, it's found a townhouse that matches your eye. So it's actually found a few. So let's say I don't want so many, and it's also included links, right? So I can click the link and I can get more information about the property. But let's say it says here, you can see at the end, it's going to give me a response, but it's saying, now to tailor my search even better, can you share your budget for this townhouse adventure? So I can say, let's say I was hoping to spend no more than, 375K. Okay, so given that budget that I'm providing, it should ignore this one for 410,000 because it's outside of my budget. But it should include this one here for 345,000 because it is within my budget. So let's see how it responds. So again, it's doing a full analysis. That's why it takes a little bit longer, but it's worth it because the user is going to get a much more personalized response. It's a much more delightful experience. You can see, with your budget in mind, this townhouse sounds like a perfect match at 345,000. It's under budget, and it offers a fresh start. Plus, it has enough space. So it's we're using this. It's pretty witty. It's giving some personality in the response. And you can see here, now let's narrow down the options even further, because one of the data points we asked it to collect were the number of bedrooms. So if I provided that data here, looking for a townhouse, if I said looking for a 3-bedroom townhouse, then it wouldn't need to ask this question, because it will have already extracted that data from my message. So that's important to know. The more data that the user provides, the fewer questions it needs to ask. But let's just say 3. So now let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so it's still recommending the same one. Now it's asking for an email so we could follow up. And you can send more details, perhaps arrange a viewing. Again, if I wanted to, if I wanted to automate that process, I might add a column header that says, book viewing, and include a link to my calendar. Can you share? It already shared a link, but I can ask it, can you share some photos? Let's see what it says. Maybe I'm not ready to go see the property yet, but I can ask it for more data, and it'll determine, based on the criteria, so it maintains context, whether this is a property that do I want to, will it have the data for me to be able to then see if it has if it's something I want to see. So see, I've beamed over the link. Okay, so it's already shared that link with me. How about a link? Let's see. So it's asking me for my email and phone number, so it'll follow up, which is the right behavior, because it's all of this is defined in the prompt of what its goal is, because you've defined that prompt when you first set up the the bot. So okay, so here we go. It's still asking me for my email address, and I can provide it. So josh@botsheets.com. And all of this data is going to be written to a spreadsheet. And I can then open the spreadsheet. I'll be able to go to the recent activity tab. I'll also be given an email. So when this conversation's over, it'll fire me off an email, and I'll get the lead data that way. And then I can jump into the dashboard here, and then I can get the data and easily access that data. So yeah, so that's essentially how to build a chatbot with Google Sheets, and the possibilities are endless. So if you're an e-commerce business, just load up all your products and all their attributes, shipping details, manage inventory for the products. So if there's only 2 left of an item, then it'll use that data in generating its response. It's saying there's only a few left. Hurry up and buy it. So hope this gets you started, and thanks for watching.